Joel Shulman is the founder, managing director, and CIO of ERShares. The firm's XOVR ETF had approximately $246 million in SpaceX exposure ahead of the IPO. Now, things have changed since.
Yeah, we're up to about $370 million. Actually, SpaceX gave us about $130 million of profit, coincide with your numbers. 84 million of that was in June alone, which gave us a 5.3% return. Contributed about 75% of our performance for that month, when the market was generally down as much as 2.7% for the
Can we get to the backstory here?
Yeah.
So you were able to include SpaceX in an ETF product when it was still a private company. How?
Right. So we were the first ones to do this. We started, we rebranded, relaunched, repositioned XOVR in August 2024. So we were the first ones to do this. We bought our first position, SpaceX, in December 2024. We bought in something called an SPV, a special purpose vehicle.
Oh, the Bloomberg Tech audience knows about SPVs. Okay. We're going to get to it. Keep going.
So we got into a position, we repositioned it later on into something called a 0-0, no management fee, no carry. We increased our stakes several times. We actually increased it twice during the second quarter 2026, which gave us about a 14% position going into the IPO. And one of the things we did is we had a shareholder protection plan which prevented a big run-up of flows in the week preceding the IPO. You've probably talked about it before in your show. Many ETFs have had massive inflows preceding big events. We kept that money out, probably turned away more than $1 billion in our estimates, maybe several $1 billion, to make sure we had a good weight for our shareholders going into the event.
The reason, for talking about SpaceX today, in part, is Nasdaq 100 inclusion.
Right.
That was accelerated. And we went through earlier in the show about the mechanics of that, right? If you're a fund manager in the world that tracks the Qs or that index, you need to take some action to make sure SpaceX and its weighting on the index is represented in your fund. Right. How did that impact you, if at all?
Well, so we're seeing it today. The market, the SpaceX is a little down today.
A little, down 5-ish%.
Yeah. So, but we think, long term, we think it's a bullish sign. We've got to remember the Nasdaq has about $800 billion behind it, passive money. That represents, at a 1% weight, about $8 billion. We've got to remember the SpaceX has been trading about $19 billion per day. It's not all coming in today in terms of the $8 billion, but it's the start. And then we've got to remember that 400 billion is the Qs alone, 4 billion of that will be coming in. So this is all coupled with the Russells, the MSCIs, and so forth. About 25 billion of passive money coming in. That's going to help boost the stock for a period of time.
So I'm grateful to have you here in the studio with me today. There was a time, maybe just for a hot second, where you were kind of out there alone.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to work out how to describe this, but you were the only ETF for a period of time that had SpaceX. That's true.
Right.
Then everyone did. I've been trying to look at what's happened since. So SpaceX went public in June. Overall, I think the fund has seen outflows.
A little bit. We've lost about 200 million. Some of the other funds that had SpaceX, one in particular that got in late March, I think they're down 30% in terms of returns alone, and they lost more than half their funds. Another ETF lost 3/4. We've lost about 200 million. We're not taking it for granted. I mean, we're not a space-only ETF. We have the Entrepreneur 30 Total Return Index, which is a 21-year track record, and that has one of the strongest, if not the strongest.
I'm looking at the holdings. So SpaceX is up there, right?
It's the top holding, 17, 18%.
And then NVIDIA.
And then we have other stocks like Astera Labs, which was very strong for us. It's up 400%. Yeah, and Apple 11 and other things as well.
I appreciate the transparency on the flows and also the origin story. We've covered a lot of some of the concern about SPVs. What are you really buying into? And in the end, what did you really get? Now with SpaceX, the data shows it. Let's get to your thesis. You are bullish on SpaceX. Which part of SpaceX?
Well, I mean, as you know, there's a 3-engine empire, right? You've got the launch where they dominate 90%, and even the competitors are using them now. So they've got 10,000 satellites in space. They dominate this market. They've got a clear moat in that area. Their costs have gone down from 54,000 down to about 2,000 per kilogram. We look at NASA, which over the last 30, 40 years has gone up from 54,000 up to 58,000. So they're the cost leader. Elon Musk is very much like a modern day Rockefeller, where he's very focused on costs. Then you've got Starlink, and you've got Starlink, which, his leapfrog telecom, cash cow, clearly the crown jewel within the trifecta of the three-engine empire. They've got a lot of people may not realize they've got a 5 pricing tier model where they charge the lowest price for domestic, defense, yes. And then they have maritime, and then they have aviation, which is the strongest piece. It's 313 times more for aviation, using the same satellite that they use for domestic. So when you have a 5 pricing tier model, that's really unique, and we think going to be extraordinary. Then of course we've got the wild card, which is where you have the optionality on the data centers in the sky.
We talked a lot about the NeoCloud business. Yeah, they played a pretty good short-term game with that.
If they pull this off, this justifies evaluation in them some. If they pull this off, where they can actually get data centers in the sky, and they can get energy 24/7, powering solar at 5 to 10 times.
Joel, just really quick, because we're going to hit a break pretty soon. Yeah. Just reflect, where does this SpaceX IPO rank in your career in the markets? Well, very quick.
For my career, it's #1, right? My career, it repositioned our fund, our thesis, and it put a spotlight on our VC lens, where we get companies the same way the VCs select companies, publicly traded companies. We got into NVIDIA back in 2005. We've held it 21 years. We see SpaceX as a long-term hold, not unlike that.